Hi, and welcome to the Caterpillar Cross Stitch YouTube channel. My name's Ford from Son of a Stitch, and this week I'm going to be talking to you about a slightly confusing kind of stitch, and that is a tent stitch. How is it different from a half stitch, and why do you want to use it? We'll go over all of that. Well, here at Caterpillar Cross Stitch, we are all about cross stitch, and we upload helpful videos about it every single week. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and click that little bell icon so you get a notification every time we post a new video. Likewise, if you like this video in particular, make sure you give it a like and leave me a comment down below. And if you have a topic you'd like to see me address or a question you'd like me to answer on the channel, leave that in the comments as well, and I'll see what I can do for you. Now, sometimes you'll see people in different online communities or even in some instructional books using the terms half stitch and tent stitch interchangeably. And the confusion is understandable because on the surface of your work, they do actually look very similar, or sometimes even the same. So it's not surprising that people do get them confused, but they are a little bit different, and I'm going to show you how they're different and why you might prefer to use one over the other under certain circumstances. But before I get too far into that, I want to remind you to join the Caterpillar Cross Stitch VIP Stitch Club. When you join, you'll get 10% off your first order, you'll get an ebook with 8 free PDF cross-stitch patterns in it, and you'll get a digital download of our top 10 cross-stitching tips. So make sure you hit the link down there in the description so you get all of those great perks. Now, if you're looking at somebody's work when they've used tent stitches or half stitches, much of the time they look the same, especially if they're working on Ada. But there are certain circumstances under which a tent stitch actually works better. But in order to understand why that is, first we need to talk about how they are different. So I'm going to show you on some graph paper the different way that those two stitches are worked to make that a little bit easier to understand. So with a half stitch, you're basically just kind of spiraling your working strand around one weave of the fabric. So on the back, you're just going down to connect each stitch. So basically, if you were stitching on transparent fabric, your stitches would look like this, just a set of uneven zigzags like that. And on the back, your stitches would look just like a series of 1 stitch long vertical lines. With a tent stitch, instead of your stitch running the same direction as the direction of travel that you're making across the fabric, so going from bottom left to top right, and then down, and then bottom left to top right, and working your way from left to right on the fabric, you work the stitches of a tent stitch in the opposite direction of your direction of travel on the fabric. So if you're working from left to right, each of your stitches goes from top right to bottom left. And then on the back, your strand comes across 2 stitches and then goes from bottom left to top right. So what's different about them is how the path of the thread takes on the back of the project. So it's kind of like 2 stitches forward on the back and 1 stitch back on the front. The reason this is advantageous is because on the back of the fabric, your stitches will be 2 stitches long. So you're grabbing 2 strands of the thread, which actually secures them a little bit better, makes them a little bit stronger. It also makes it so that you're not basically just spiraling your thread around 1 single strand of fabric. Now, if you're working on Ada, or if you're working over 2 on an even weave such as linen or Monaco or something like that, it's not going to really matter too much. It's really when you're working over 1 on something like linen or on a canvas that it makes a really big difference. So I've got here a piece that I've done a little bit of stitching on to sort of demonstrate that difference for you. So I started off with a waist knot here because I just wanted to do a few stitches. And then I did a few stitches using half stitches. And then I did a few more stitches using tent stitches. And I don't know if it's as obvious to you, but the tent stitches are much, much tidier looking to me. And that's because it's got more fabric underneath it to stabilize it. So if we look at the back here, these are the ones that I did with tent stitch. And you can see how much more floss is being used on the back there. And these are the stitches that I did with half stitch. And this is the reason that they're so irregular. It's because they're only going over 1, they're much more subject to the natural variations that exist in linen fabric. And also because these little short stitches can actually nestle down between adjacent warp and weft threads of the fabric. And those do actually sometimes pull through and just slide under the thread of the fabric that they are running parallel to. And so that can actually make your stitch completely come undone, and it's practically impossible to fix. Another thing that I discovered while I was doing this demo for you was that if I do a tent stitch as opposed to a half stitch, it's way easier to frog it out if I've made a mistake, because I have a 2-stitch long strand here that I can tuck my frogger or my needle underneath in order to undo those stitches. So it's not necessarily a good idea always to plan for failure, but we all do make mistakes, and so it's a good idea to make those mistakes a little bit easier to fix. And that's another way in which I found tent stitches to be superior when working over one on linen. So we get tidier stitches and stitches that are easier to remove and that have less likelihood of failing. Now, I learned about how to do tent stitches and the difference between tent and half stitches from a member of one of the online communities that I'm in. And I can't overstate the value of being in a supportive and nurturing cross-stitching community like the Caterpillar cross-stitch community. There's an extensive and amazing community that's grown up around the brand, especially in the Caterpillar cross-stitch Facebook group and in the comments and following of the Caterpillar cross-stitch Instagram. So I highly recommend joining that group, following that Instagram, getting plugged into and connected to that cross-stitching community. It's of immense value and extremely worthwhile. So that's pretty much it for this week. Most of the time a tent stitch and a half stitch can be used interchangeably, but especially when working over one on a higher count fabric like even weave, linen, Monaco, something like that, it can be really handy to have that extra type of stitch in your back pocket, particularly when you're not going to be crossing the stitches so that they stand on their own a lot more. I do want to thank you so much for watching. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford, and I will see you next time.
Hi, have you heard about Love It Stitch It yet? You can design and shop the cross stitch patterns you've always wanted. Love It Stitch It is an easy to use design tool and exclusive cross stitch marketplace, giving you the freedom to create, sell and shop all in one place. You can design anything that you like, add text, upload and convert pictures and artwork. You can design the cross stitch patterns of your dream. You can download them for personal use, or you can upload them onto the marketplace, designed by cross stitchers for cross stitchers, jam-packed with some gorgeous cross stitch patterns from designers all over the world. If you're not interested in designing or selling, that's totally fine too. Just visit the marketplace and you can shop from hundreds of beautiful cross stitch patterns so you can pick your next project. Are you already a cross stitch designer, but maybe you're fed up of other marketplaces, maybe not getting the sales that you deserve, maybe not getting your patterns seen as much as you'd like? Then let us help. You can easily register for free and get uploading your PDF patterns with absolutely no fees whatsoever. Let us then market your gorgeous designs that you've put all of your work into to over 185,000 dedicated cross stitchers from all over the world. We will absolutely do our best to get your patterns seen and into the right hands of people that we know will absolutely love stitching them. As a designer, you can easily list your PDF patterns for sale, no matter which software you use to design them. Our job is to make cross-stitch design accessible to all. There's nothing to upgrade, there's nothing to download. It's really easy to use and beginner friendly. We also wanted to create the marketplace to bring sellers and buyers together so that it's really easy and such an enjoyable experience to shop all of the high quality verified designs on the platform, but also to give those amazing designers a place to really showcase their creativity. So visit loveitstitchit.com today and register for free. Stitch what you love and free your creativity.